This is disgusting. What are you blind? Karen, the janitorial supervisor screamed at Marcus, the new black janitor, her voice echoing through the pristine office. Marcus glanced at the spotless marble floor he'd just polished. I just cleaned it, he said, calm but firm. Karen smirked, grabbed a full cup of soda and hurled it across the floor. The sticky liquid splattered, pooling at his feet. She crossed her arms, staring him down. Clean it again. Now. Hold up, folks. As we dive into this jaw-dropping story, let me ask you, have you ever been judged just for existing? If you believe everyone deserves respect, no matter their race or status, smash that subscribe button right now and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. This tale of justice is about to blow your mind, so buckle up. It was a crisp morning at Sterling Enterprises, a billion-dollar titan in the world of luxury real estate. The company's skyscraper pierced the city skyline, a gleaming symbol of power and prestige. Inside the lobby was a hive of activity employees in designer suits, clutching overpriced lattes, their briefcases swinging with self-importance. Deals were being closed, egos were being stroked, and the air was thick with ambition. Then a lone motorcycle roared up to the glass entrance, its engine shattering the corporate silence. Marcus Hayes stepped off, a 32-year-old black man in a worn hoodie, faded jeans, and a scuffed backpack slung over one shoulder. To the world, he was a nobody, just another face in the crowd. But here's the kicker. Marcus wasn't some random guy. He was the firstborn son of Charles Sterling, the billionaire founder of Sterling Enterprises, and the heir set to become CEO. But today Marcus wasn't walking in as the boss. He was walking in as a ghost, invisible to the empire he was born to lead. For years, Marcus had been abroad, sharpening his mind with an MBA from Oxford and building a legacy his late black mother, a trailblazing urban planner, would have been proud of. His father, Charles, a white tycoon who'd remarried, had kept the company soaring. But whispers had reached Marcus tales of discrimination, rigged promotions, and a culture that treated minorities like dirt. He wasn't here to read reports or trust second-hand accounts. He was here to see the truth with his own eyes. As Marcus approached the glass doors adjusting his backpack, the stares hit him like a wave. Employees in $1,000 suits gawked, confused. Two receptionists dressed to the nines swapped smirks. And then enter Brian Turner, a senior operations manager with slicked back hair and an ego bigger than the building. Brian lived for Sterling's image, and to him Marcus was a stain on it. Hey man, Brian called, his voice dripping with arrogance as Marcus neared the entrance. Deliveries go around back. Marcus froze, letting the words sink in. There it was, the first jab wrapped in a smug grin. He turned, meeting Brian's eyes with a slow, knowing smile. Now tell me, have you ever walked into a room and felt people size you up before you even opened your mouth? Drop a comment if you've been there and hit that like button if you're ready for some serious karma. Marcus could have dropped the mic right then, revealed who he was. But nah, not yet. This was just the beginning. Actually, Marcus said, cool as ice, adjusting his backpack. I'm not here for a delivery. I'm looking for a job. Brian's eyebrows shot up, his gaze raking over Marcus like he was gum on his shoe. A job, he laughed, glancing at nearby employees who snickered. Here at Sterling Enterprises. Marcus nodded, unfazed. Yeah, any openings. I'm ready to work. Brian's smirk grew, amused by the nerve of this guy. Well, we're not exactly hiring, he said, waving Marcus off like a fly. But Marcus didn't budge. You sure? He pressed his voice steady. I'll take anything. Brian rolled his eyes, gesturing to a receptionist with a dramatic sigh. Check the system, see if there's something for him. The receptionist, barely hiding her amusement, tapped her keyboard, then grinned. Oh, there's one spot. Janitorial team. The lobby erupted in laughter. Brian's eyes sparkled with glee. So what's it gonna be? You wanted a job, right? Marcus tilted his head, feeling their stares, their chuckles, their assumption he was desperate. He could have walked away, but instead he smiled. I'll take it. Brian blinked, stunned. What? I'll take it. Marcus repeated louder, his voice ringing clear. The laughter exploded. Brian doubled over, Employees shook their heads, shocked that this guy actually accepted a janitor gig. But Marcus, he didn't flinch. He just smiled because they'd just handed the future CEO a ticket to see their true colors. They had no clue who they were messing with, and soon they'd regret every single laugh. If you're hooked already, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment. Have you ever been underestimated like Marcus? Let's hear it. Things are about to get wild, so stick around. So there he was, Marcus Hayes, secret heir to a billion-dollar empire, standing in a janitor's uniform, mop in hand bucket at his feet. The floors of Sterling Enterprises sparkled under glitzy chandeliers polished by countless workers before him. But none of them, not one, had ever been the CEO in disguise. Yet to everyone in that building, Marcus was just a janitor, and they made sure he felt it. Enter Karen Pierce, his supervisor. Tall blonde with a scowl that could curdle milk, Karen had been with Sterling for years. She loved her power over the lowly workers, and to her, Marcus was the lowest of the low. From day one, she made it crystal clear he didn't belong. "Hey, you!" Karen's voice sliced through the hallway as Marcus mopped. He turned, mop dripping, and met her glare. "What's this trash?" she snapped, pointing at the gleaming floor. "I just cleaned it," Marcus said, his tone even. Karen's lips curled. "Don't get smart with me. I don't like your kind acting like you belong here. Your kind." The words hit like a punch, but Marcus just smiled. He wanted to see how deep her venom ran, and oh, it ran deep. Karen didn't just dislike Marcus, she despised him, and she showed it every chance she got. Mopped a hallway. It's streaky. Wiped a desk. You missed a spot. Emptied a trash bin. Too slow. Nothing was ever good enough, and she didn't just critique, she humiliated Loud in public. "Are you dumb?" she sneered one afternoon, tossing a rag at Marcus as he finished cleaning the executive lounge. A group of employees nearby giggled. Do it again properly this time. Marcus took it all, his calm exterior hiding a mental ledger of every insult. But Karen wasn't alone. Brian Turner, that smug manager from day one, made it his personal mission to break Marcus. He'd drop papers on freshly mopped floors, accidentally spill coffee, and bark, "Clean it up, boy." That word boy was a knife, but Marcus didn't flinch. Not yet. He was watching, waiting, cataloging every slight. Some employees joined Brian's taunts, laughing like it was a sport. Others stayed quiet, their discomfort clear but unspoken. A few, like Emily, a junior marketing assistant, saw something different in Marcus. His confidence, his unshaken calm, it didn't add up. One day, Emily slipped him a granola bar during a break, whispering, "Don't let them get to you." Marcus nodded, grateful for the rare kindness. But the abuse kept coming day after day. Brian would strut by tossing trash just to watch Marcus scramble. Karen would scream about standards while mocking his every move. The office became a battlefield, and Marcus was their punching bag, or so they thought. Have you ever worked somewhere where people treated you like you were less than them? Drop a comment and let us know, because what's coming next will make your jaw drop. If you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. 5 days in, and the tension was at a boiling point. Marcus had just finished polishing the executive boardroom, the glass table gleaming like a mirror under the chandelier's glow. He stepped back satisfied when Karen stormed in, her face twisted with rage. "What is this garbage?" she shouted, pointing at the flawless table. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "I just cleaned it," he said, his voice steady as steel. Karen laughed, a cruel, biting sound. "Filthy. Are you blind without warning?" She snatched a full cup of soda from a side table and flung it across the table. The sticky liquid splashed, dripping onto the carpet. Employees passing by froze their eyes wide with shock. Karen crossed her arms, glaring at Marcus. "Clean it again. Now." The room went dead silent. Every stare burned into Marcus, the air thick with disbelief. He inhaled slowly, his eyes locked on Karen. Then he smiled, a slow, dangerous smile that sent a chill through the room. This was it. He'd seen enough, heard enough, endured enough. The truth was about to explode. As Marcus knelt to clean, his phone buzzed. A text from his father, Charles Sterling. I'm 5 minutes out. Ready to take the stage, Marcus typed back. More than ready. He stood leaving the mop on the floor and walked toward the lobby. The game was over, and the real show was about to begin. Folks, can you feel the heat? This is where it gets insane. Have you ever seen someone push too far and not know they're about to crash? Drop a comment with your thoughts and smash that subscribe button because what's coming next will leave you speechless. The receptionist's phone rang, slicing through the office's hum. She answered, her polished voice faltering as her face went pale. "Mr. Sterling's coming," she hissed to a colleague. The news spread like wildfire. Charles Sterling, the billionaire founder, was on his way. Executives straightened their ties. Assistants scrambled to tidy desks and whispers buzzed like static. Brian Turner puffed out his chest, dreaming of shaking hands with the boss, maybe even snagging a promotion. Karen adjusted her blouse, already picturing a raise. Marcus. They didn't even think about him. To them, he was just the janitor, a nobody. Oh, how wrong they were. The elevator dinged, and the room fell silent. Charles Sterling stepped out, a towering figure in a charcoal suit, his presence commanding respect. Behind him were his legal counsel, HR director, and 2 security guards, their faces stone cold. Employees stood frozen, their anticipation electric. Charles scanned the room, his expression unreadable. Then he spoke, his voice smooth but heavy with authority. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks a turning point for Sterling Enterprises. The crowd leaned in, breathless. Brian grinned, certain of a big announcement. Karen's eyes sparkled with ambition. "For decades, I've built this company to stand for excellence," Charles continued. "But excellence isn't just about deals or dollars. It's about integrity, respect, and fairness." A few employees shifted, that word integrity hitting like a warning shot. Charles smiled faintly. "Today, I'm proud to introduce my firstborn son, the new CEO of Sterling Enterprises." Confusion erupted. Firstborn son whispers exploded. "I thought he had a younger kid," someone muttered. "Who's the CEO?" Charles's gaze swept the room. Marcus stepped forward. Time stopped. Every head turned, searching until their eyes landed on Marcus Hayes, standing calmly in his janitor's uniform, mop still in hand. Silence, complete, gut-punching silence. Brian's face went white as a ghost. Karen gasped, her hand clutching her chest. Employees whispered, their shock rippling like a tidal wave. The man they'd mocked, humiliated, treated like trash was their new CEO. Now tell me, have you ever seen karma hit this hard? Drop a comment with your reaction and hit that like button if you're cheering for Marcus. Things are about to get even crazier, so subscribe and stick with us. Marcus stepped forward, his posture perfect, his presence filling the room like a storm. The janitor's uniform couldn't hide the power in his eyes. He scanned the crowd, memorizing every face, every smirk, every laugh, every silent bystander. Then he spoke, his voice steady, commanding, and sharp as a blade. "I bet you've got questions," he said, letting the words hang. The room was a graveyard, not a sound, not a breath. Brian's hands shook his face, a mask of panic. Karen looked like she wanted to vanish, her eyes darting for an escape. Employees avoided Marcus's gaze, their guilt heavy as lead. "My name is Marcus Hayes Sterling," he said, his words slicing through the silence. "I'm Charles Sterling's firstborn son, and as of today, I'm your new CEO." Boom. The truth landed like a bomb. Brian's knees wobbled. Karen let out a choked gasp. Whispers erupted. The janitor. The CEO. But Marcus stood tall, unshaken, untouchable. For the past week, he continued pacing slowly. "I've worked here as a janitor, not to trick you, but to see how this company, my company, treats those it thinks don't matter." His eyes locked onto Brian. "Brian Turner, you assumed I was nothing. You mocked me, called me boy, and laughed because you thought you were above me." Brian opened his mouth, but no words came. Marcus raised a hand, silencing him like a king. Then he turned to Karen. "Karen Pierce, you threw soda across a table and ordered me to clean it, not because it was dirty, but to humiliate me." Karen's face was ash white, her eyes squeezed shut. Marcus let the silence crush them, the weight of their actions sinking in. "Let me ask you all," he said, his voice booming. "If you'd known who I was, would you have treated me like that?" Dead silence. The truth was a slap they couldn't dodge. Marcus smiled cold and sharp. That's the problem. Respect shouldn't depend on a title. It's the foundation of everything we do. Folks, can you feel the chills? Have you ever seen someone face down their bullies like this? Drop a comment with your thoughts and smash that subscribe button. This is just getting started. Charles Sterling, silent until now, stepped forward. His face was a mix of pride for his son and shame for the company he'd trusted. Marcus, he said, his voice heavy. What's your call? Marcus didn't blink. Brian Turner, he said, his tone final. Your employment is terminated effective immediately. Brian staggered, his voice a desperate croak. No, please, I didn't. Charles cut him off with a look, turning to Karen. Karen Pierce, your role as supervisor is done. You're fired. Karen's hands clutched her blouse, her eyes pleading. Mr. Sterling, I didn't mean. Marcus raised a hand, stopping her cold. You meant every word, every action. His voice was calm but unyielding. Security stepped forward, escorting Brian and Karen to grab their things. The room watched, stunned, as two careers crumbled in seconds. But Marcus wasn't done. He turned to the employees, his expression softening just a touch. Not everyone stood by. Some of you showed kindness, and that matters. He nodded to Emily, the assistant who'd given him a granola bar. Emily, as my first act as CEO, I'm promoting you to operations supervisor. Your heart is the leadership we need. Emily's eyes filled with tears, her hand covering her mouth. Gasps echoed shock, awe, and a flicker of hope. Have you ever seen justice and redemption in one moment? Drop a comment if this gave you goosebumps and hit that like button. Subscribe now, because Marcus is just getting started. With Brian and Karen gone, Marcus faced the remaining employees, his voice like thunder. What happened here wasn't just about two people. It was a culture that let their poison spread. That ends today. He laid out the plan: mandatory anti-bias training for every employee built with experts to root out prejudice. Performance reviews tied to fairness, not just profits, and a hotline for reporting discrimination, anonymous and safe. Sterling Enterprises will lead the industry, he said, not just in deals, but in dignity. The room was silent, some nodding, others bowing their heads in shame. Charles stepped forward, placing a hand on Marcus's shoulder. This is your company now, he said, his voice thick with pride. Make it right. Marcus met his father's eyes, then shook his hand, a public vow, a passing of the torch. The room erupted in applause, hesitant at first, then roaring. They didn't just see a CEO, they saw a leader. Folks, isn't this what real change looks like? Have you ever seen someone take a broken system and rebuild it? Drop a comment with your thoughts and smash that subscribe button. We're not done yet. In the weeks that followed, Marcus's vision took hold. Training sessions hit hard, forcing employees to face their biases through real-world scenarios and raw stories of discrimination's pain. Managers were held accountable, their bonuses linked to equitable treatment. Clients felt the shift, minority applicants got fairer loan approvals, and diverse talent rose to leadership. Brian and Karen. Their names became cautionary tales. Brian landed a low-level gig at a tiny firm, his ego crushed. Karen, after months of denial, enrolled in diversity courses, chasing a second chance. Emily soared as supervisor, her compassion reshaping the office vibe. Marcus was everywhere, often showing up to sites in jeans to check that change was real. Employees who once laughed at him now looked to him with respect, not for his title, but for his fire. Sterling Enterprises became a new kind of empire, one where fairness wasn't a slogan, but a mission. The culture wasn't perfect, but it was healing, and Marcus was at the heart of it. Have you ever seen a workplace transform like this? Drop a comment with your take and hit that like button. If Marcus is your hero, subscribe and turn on notifications. This story's impact is just beginning. The story of Marcus Hayes, the janitor turned CEO, went viral. At a packed press conference, Marcus stood tall, his voice steady. Respect isn't a privilege, it's a right. At Sterling Enterprises, we're building a future where everyone belongs. The crowd roared, cameras flashing. Hashtags like #SterlingJustice and #RespectForAll trended worldwide. News outlets called it a corporate revolution. Clients praised the new vibe, and competitors scrambled to copy Sterling's playbook. Employees shared tales of the janitor CEO, a legend that inspired a wave of inclusive leaders. Marcus's undercover mission wasn't just a stunt, it was a wake-up call. Companies everywhere started rethinking their cultures, proving one man's stand could shake an industry. What do you think? Can one person really change the game like this? Drop a comment with your thoughts and smash that subscribe button. We've got more stories like this coming your way. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the boardroom, no longer in a janitor's uniform, but a sharp suit addressing Sterling's global team via video link. The company wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, leading the industry in client trust and diversity metrics. "This isn't my win," Marcus said, his voice resonating. "It's ours. We've built something that lifts everyone." Charles, now retired, watched from the back, his eyes shining with pride. Marcus hadn't just saved the company, he'd redefined it, turning a house of arrogance into a beacon of fairness. As Sterling Enterprises soared, it stood for more than real estate. It was proof that justice isn't about tearing down, it's about building up brick by brick until the world sees what's possible. Folks, that's how you change history. What do you think of Marcus's journey? Should he have been tougher, or did he nail it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if this story fired you up, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Share this video with everyone you know because stories like this deserve to be heard. Where are you watching from? Let's see those comments, and we'll catch you in the next one.